in July time. Why? Because I don't know. It's halfway. This is when we're supposed to be starting and thinking about our projects and doing the things. That's fine. I'm not in the mood for Christmas right now. I don't know why. I'm kind of feeling Halloween-y, but Christmas, no thank you. Not ready. So I've decided in order to do Christmas in July, we will do quilts from the Christmas book in whatever I want. A few weeks ago, I was in M&L Fabrics. You guys are loving the shopping in M&L Fabrics with me. I am loving bringing you guys. I think we're going to start to make that a thing. I want to do a maximalist quilt. And you're like, what? I'm feeling maximalism right now. It's a thing. I wanted a high energy, weird, why did you do that kind of quilt? I'm not sure how this is going to come out, but I'm just going with it. So we are going to do this pattern right here called Ornaments from the Quick Christmas 3-Yard Quilts book. And we're just going to see what happens. I don't know. This should be a quick sew. We are going to use this in the number 1 position. And then we are going to use this orange in the number 2 position. And then we'll use this guy in the number 3. And we'll just kind of see what happens. I don't know, but that's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut this all up and we'll come back to start assembling the blocks. I know I said I was going to pop back in after I've cut this up. But this Odile fabric is just absolutely a dream. You just don't get a chance to see it in person up close enough. And I'm obsessed with her. So I want to show you what this looks like. It is absolutely dreamy. Oh, it's so good. So yes, I'm showing you this fabric before I just slice it up. So good. I'm looking at this little area right here and it is absolutely perfection. You've got your parrots, you've got your flower, and I'm like, this is going to be the border. I don't want to cut it. I don't know what's happening on the backside. I don't want to cut it. You know what? Cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it. That's what I'm telling myself. Just cut it. Cut it. Just cut it. However, y'all know I always say cut with courage. So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm cutting into it. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness. Cut it. Just cut it. Sing it with me now. Cut it. Just cut it. Only quilters will get it. Oh my goodness. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. Now I feel like I should say, just cut with courage. Cut with courage. Cut with courage. Cut with courage. Yes. We have shirts that say, cut with courage. Because look. Oh, I'm cutting into their little heads. Aww. Oh, but look what we're getting. So beautiful. Just cut with courage. Cut with courage. Now that all the pieces have been cut out, I just have a little bit of overage. I mean, I still have quite a bit of this because I never cut the binding. I prefer a 2.5 inch binding. So we've got this left over. It's not much. It's just a little strip here, a little strip there. Now I am going to put the border strips to the side and we're going to work on this block. Technically, this could be in the One Block Wonder book because really it's just a 1 block. And it's cute. Let's see what we get here. We're going to take one of these and a couple of these and a bunch of these. And we're going to snowball. There is nothing I like better than to do a snowball. I love them, love them, love them. I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do that right now. So our next step, we are going to grab these squares and we are going to put a line on the back side, tip to tip. If you have seam tape and your machine bed is long enough, you do not need to mark these, which will make this already extremely fast quilt go even faster. Now I'm going to lay this right sides together with my arrow going from the right down to the left. And at the bottom, we're going to go the opposite direction from the left to the right. Then I'm going to sew directly on the line, not away from the line. I'm going to sew directly on this line on both sides. Our strips, and these strips, even though they will be used on both sides of the block, it can be sewn the exact same. You don't need to do this unless it's more comfortable for you or whatever. I am going to turn them for this next step because we need to do a little trimming. This is called a stitch and flip technique. I love it. It's one of my favorite techniques. I don't know why. I don't know why. I am placing my ruler. I like this ruler because it's got this little, it's just very, very apparent where the 1/4 inch mark is. This is probably my most used ruler, my second most used ruler. I'm placing that line on that, and I'm going to cut away. We're going to cut with courage. Cut with courage there. And cut away that excess fabric. And we're going to do the same thing here. And cut away. There we go. Let's do the same thing on this guy. You see I'm cutting away the fabric that is to the right. And I'm going to rotate it and do this. Now, I'm going to grab one of my favorite little irons to demo with. Those are all your scraps. And I'm going to do what I often do. I'm going to grab my wood iron first. And I'm going to open up this seam. Yes, it's an extra step, but Fabric Cafe always suggests that you press your seams open. And since these need to come together, we're going to do just that. If I were to press this to a side, I'm going to get some serious bulk with this pattern because of the way that it comes together. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do the same thing here. And we get a beautiful, beautiful block here. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? I am very curious to see what this block looks like. I want to do 2 of these. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Look at how beautiful that looks. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And then I'm going to do another set. And then we can look at how we do this topsy-turvy. Now that we have pieced our side pieces, we are going to lay it out just like so, with the smallest part pointed that way on the outsides, and then we'll just flip it and sew down the right hand side and sew down the left hand side, and then we'll meet back. Now that we have our block all sewn together, we need to get it nice and pressed. So for this one, because these points are all going to have to line up with other points at some point, going ahead and open these up too. Yes, it's an extra step. Yes, it takes a bit longer. Oh well, we're in it for the long game, right guys? The long game. I love this wood iron. There is a video talking about it and showing you where to get it. Also, this little tiny ironing board. If you want to be the talk of the class, the talk of the town, bust this little guy out. It is a cutie patootie, and there is a video on it, where to get it, how cute it is. its little size, blah, 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 blah. Shout out to the owner who makes these little guys. She hit me up recently. All right. And there we have a gorgeous block. Yes, you're getting bits and pieces of all kinds of things, but it's definitely giving maximalism. And it's definitely like a color story, right? Like this is a story. For your rows, the innards of this quilt, I want to put a black and white stripe with this so bad, guys. I want to put this in here so bad. I might zhuzh it. This was not the plan to zhuzh this, but a little black and white border is not going to hurt anything. It's just not. It's going to just, it's, yeah, I think we're going to, I don't know. Y'all know how I feel about borders, but it just needs a little, anyway. So the way that you do the innards, you are going to do, your first one is going to go up and down. Your next will go to the right. And you see how these are going to come together right here? That's why we went ahead and pressed it open so we didn't have to figure out how many to do one way and how many to do the other. This one is going to go up and down. And then this one will go to the right. I think this looks so cool. It's definitely giving what I wanted it to give. It's definitely doing that. I like this. Something very, very cool about this. Okay, so I'm going to sew this row together and then I'm going to complete the rest. Then we'll throw on some borders. We'll look at it again. We'll put the borders on. I'm thinking I might add a border. I'm not sure. Oh, decisions. All right, so I've just sewn this together and it really does. It really does need to come together. Now, you guys always say, oh, you're such a perfect sewist and you've gotten so good, blah, blah, blah. And I always tell you guys, look closely. Like, I make errors and I am not a precision sewer. It's not even what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the inspirational sewist that makes you want to try things, makes you want to grab funky colors, yada, yada, yada. Look, right here. That is clearly off. Now, someone, you, would probably rip this and you pull this down and get it together and make it make sense. It is 1 something in the morning, and you know who's not getting ready to rip that? That would be this girl. We are going to call it for tonight, and I'll come back and finish these innards and move on with my life. This kind of stuff, if it were going to a show, then I would rip it 100%. I would be out here basting with some rock sands and some glue and all of that. I would make very, very different decisions. But for this, what? This Maximalist, it is giving Maximalist. Look at those colors. This is such a high energy quilt. I'm in love with it. And I do think I'm going to have to give it a little zhuzh. I didn't want to, but that black and white with it is just, oh, it's so good. All right, guys, tomorrow. So we have some beautiful quilts here. I mean, some blocks are just absolutely gorgeous. I love, love, love this. It does feel very Maximalist. I wish I had made the twin size. I wish I made this larger, but I am going to make it a little bit larger. So the first border that's supposed to go on the inside is this yellow. Then I'm supposed to frame it with this beautiful color here. And then it's supposed to go back to this large yellow. And I think I'm going to add another border, which is interesting because when I tell you I do not enjoy putting borders on quilts, I do not enjoy borders, but this one needs it. So the other day, I don't know if I showed it on camera, but I had this scrap from something I was doing hanging out, and I thought this just really makes it weird and more Maximalist, and it just kind of gives it something extra. And I'm a striped girl, so there's that. I don't know where I'm gonna add it though. So if this yellow goes next, and then Then this little guy goes after that. Then do I add the stripe there? Or do I break it up? And then there's another big fat yellow. I do like the yellow touching this black and white. And I think that is where I'm going to add it. So I think we're going to do 2 borders, and I'm going to add this third. And I think I'm going to add it, I don't know if I'm going to make it small, so it's just a kiss, or if I'm going to make it like fat. I think we're going to add just a kiss of it. Like truly just enough to be like, why did she put that in there? It might be smaller than these. I don't know the dimensions, and I wouldn't give them to you, I guess, if I did, but I'm kind of guessing them here, and I might make it a little bit smaller. Or do I want this to be seen a little bit more? We'll find out after we put on the first 2 borders. Boy, I hate doing borders, but I'm about to do it. I'm gonna do it. I just think this just adds to the craziness of this quilt, and this quilt is really giving me the energy that I wanted. Even though it's probably the most difficult to construct, it is the fastest in that book. But in regards to accuracy of construction, not an easy quilt. None of these corners line up. And it's because I'm going quickly, but it's also going like that because it just is. They're just not easy to line up. You've got to be a super accurate sewist, but it's still going to look good if you do some crazy stuff. But if these were solids, oh, my secret would be out. So just keep that in mind. Not a big deal on this quilt, in my opinion. Like right here, this does not go together. It's very clear. But hey, I don't care. So moving on, I'm going to go ahead and put these first 2 borders on, see how I like it, and then come back and figure out what we're going to do with this guy and the next guy. So I decided to really give this a zhuzh. I cut my border at 2 inches. I thought that would be great. And then I've sewn them on so that I've got a little overhang on both sides. And I am going to miter this because it's a stripe. I just didn't want it to run. I don't know. I'm just doing the most because I really like this. I did not want it to run into the border in a weird way. And we should practice our skills, right? So all I'm going to do is take this, just like this. This strip here, all of the ones on the sides have been pressed this way. The ones here have been pressed this way toward the quilt, right? And I've got it here on this little corner. I'm going to fold this quilt at a diagonal angle. And I'm going to lay this strip on top of the other strip so that it matches just like that. Now I made sure to stop sewing 1/4 of an inch on these corners. And now that these are one on top of the other, there is this little piece of fabric here. I'm going to pull it out, make sure that it does not get caught in there. And just try to smooth it out as best I can. And I'm going to put this on top and make that all straight. Then I'm going to grab my ruler and I'm going to mark a diagonal line that follows this line right here. Just going to mark it with a friction pin. So I have gotten very zhuzhy, and I've decided that I'm going to miter these corners just because they're stripes, and I don't want the stripes to just lay like this and like this. I just don't want it. So I have marked 1/4 of an inch right here in this little corner, and I've stopped sewing 1/4 inch from that side, 1/4 inch from that side. I pressed this border going toward the quilt. I pressed all the borders on the side going away from the quilt. Now I'm going to take this side of the quilt and fold it over 45 degrees. I'm just going to fold this at a diagonal angle. I'm not being incredibly fussy about this. I want it to line up, but it's not it's not going to a show. This is just going to be mine. I really am liking the way that this is coming out. So I've got it going at a 45-degree angle. I want this to sit on top of this. So I want the borders to line up. And then I want everything else to kind of smooth out. There we go. I'm going to pull this little guy out here, so he's out of the way. I'm going to line this up straight. I cut my borders at 2 inches. I'm going to line that up straight there and just pull the one underneath to make sure that it's straight. And smooth it out. I will fidget with this a bit off camera because the weight of this quilt down here, I need to do something. I need to move that. But I'm going to make a 45-degree angle from right here, that little spot where I stopped sewing. Just like that. And this should be running parallel. This 45-degree line should be running parallel to my border here. There we go. When it looks good, I'm going to grab a marking pen and I'm going to just draw a line from that corner all the way down. I shouldn't say down, all the way to the other side. Just continuing this line here. Then I'm going to grab a couple pins and stick them right in on that line. I'm trying to stick it right on that line. Then I'm going to open it up and see what I've got. For this to be such a tiny quilt, it is heavy. It is not working with me. All right, that looks cool. So what I'm going to do is pull it back. So that's a cool corner, right? Everything seems to be laying flat. It looks good. Randomly, I'm going to put this back down and just make sure that that's straight. I'm going to press this just like this. I'm going to hit it with the iron, and then when I fold it back over, I'll be able to sew on that line right there. This quilt is such a phenomenal quilt in my opinion. Not in execution, but in concept and idea. I think it should be really inspirational for you all to try something insane. Try a hard, easy pattern. It's fast, but it's not the easiest thing to do. Having these corners come together and all that, it's not the easiest thing to do. These mitered corners, they're all right. Not the easiest thing to do either, but I think it's important that we try new stuff. Why not? It's a 3-yard quilt. So I added a 2-inch border. This is all the fabric that I had left over from this outer border. Had I made it any larger, I would not have had enough fabric. I didn't have to use any more for that outer border, but I was cutting it thin. So if you do try this, maybe you want to have a little extra, just in case. Love the 3 border. Actually, there are 4 borders here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do not like putting borders on quilts, but boy, do I think this really gave it a little something. I am so pleased with this. I hope you guys are too. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys are inspired, because this is probably one of my favorites color stories of all time for this. With this border and everything, I'm just absolutely digging it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.
Bye.